It says live.
It's live. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Healthy Schools Revolution. I'm Carmen Johnson, your host, and today we have guest Stephen Ritz with us from the Green Bronx Machine. Stephen, how are you?
Good morning, Carmen. Welcome to New York City, live from my terrace.
I love it. Who thinks they see greenery in New York City? We think of concrete and, whatever, big brick buildings and not a whole lot of grass and greenery. So you got that going on your back porch.
Well, no porch, but 13 stories up in the sky. We are growing vegetables that we eat daily here in the beautiful Bronx. I like to say this is the new Bronx.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are up to some amazing things. And I want to, first of all, thank you for being here to share your journey. And I know you've had tremendous successes, and they continue to grow, and you're expanding your vision of what you're doing with the Green Bronx Machine and what's going on in schools. But before we get started with that, can you tell everybody about a little bit about you and how you got where you are? You're a teacher, correct?
Yes, I'm a teacher. I jokingly say I am CEO, Chief Eternal Optimist of Bronx County. Some people refer to me as the Pied Piper of Peas, but literally, I'm just dedicated to kids. My life's work is moving kids out of poverty and into spheres of success, whether it's academic success, school success, social success, driven by this fundamental belief that people shouldn't have to leave their neighborhood to live, learn, and earn in a better one. I'm a little older than I look, so I'm a child of the 60s, and I'll leave it at that. I guess I'm dating myself finally. So social justice, environmental justice, equity, these are the things that really move me. And again, I grew up at a time and in a place when the Bronx was burning, so to think, or was literally burnt. So to think that I can be part of something greater and grow something greater, and remarkably, by growing vegetables with kids in urban schools, has kind of been where I've evolved to. So I'm at a new place doing something I never imagined. I'm not a farmer, but 30,000 pounds of vegetables later, my favorite crop is organically grown citizens, graduates, members of the middle class, kids who are going to college and doing great things, and most importantly, are eating well. So my goal is to inspire healthy living and drive academic and social and workforce development competencies for everybody, where together we can all prosper.
Steve, I can't
Say it
even,
again 5 times
can't
quick.
even keep up with your energy level. And I told Lizette, your wife, that I thought I was energetic, and then when I got a hold of you, I was like, I don't even know how to keep up with you, but your passion and enthusiasm is so infectious. And so I hope that the conversation that you and I share today is one that really gets parents and teachers jacked up about making change, because from my side of the table as a parent in the school, I found myself stymied. There were roadblocks to good nutrition in our schools, and I felt like as one person I couldn't do anything. And so banding together with like-minded people, learning from someone like you who's done the battle, done the hard work, had successes, that's what we want to share today. So, I'd love to know, like, what grade, so can you tell us, like, give us the background, when you got this started, what grade were you teaching, and how did you get this going?
Super. Okay, so when this all started, I started teaching in the early 80s, but this green revolution, if you will, for me, or this health revolution, really didn't start until after the millennium. And by then, I was a teacher at a high school, at a very dysfunctional high school. In fact, I was named Dean of Students, one of 17 deans at a school that had 48 security guards and 18 armed police officers. And I had gotten a lot of kids who came to me from this plant-based rash that I tend to call handcuffs. So someone sent me this box of bulbs, and we didn't even know what bulbs were. I thought they were onions. I thought they were garlic. I kind of hid them in a radiator because I was afraid they were going to become projectiles and kids were going to throw them at each other. One day, long made short, there was a fight in the class, an actual physical altercation. Kid went behind the radiator to look for something, and there were hundreds of flowers, because the radiator had forced these bulbs. And it was kind of, then the boys wanted to give them to girls for sex, and the girls wanted to bring them home for presents for their parents, or, there was this entrepreneurial kind of spirit. And it was right then and there that I realized this was kind of cool. And it took these big, overage, undercredited kids to remind me of the beauty, of the joy, if you will, of putting a seed in the ground and watching something blossom. So long made short, I bumped into some people in the community who saw me and my kids as this incredible workforce, as kids who really needed to be, who were apart from, who needed to become a part of. And we got into community gardening, and then community gardening, we actually learned about vegetables. I didn't know much about vegetables. We were just into reclaiming public and abandoned spaces. We got into green roofs and green walls, but now I'm really full head on into urban agriculture. But it's rooted in one thing, and I want to go back to what you said. I never planned to be a farmer. I never planned to be even a healthy guy. I realize I've just lost 120 pounds myself. But it starts with this fundamental belief that I'm not willing to accept the things I can't change. I'm going to change the things I can't accept and do small things daily to move the needle forward. If it's got to be, it's up to me, and I am responsible for that. And that's kind of the mindset I bring to work, to my home, to my family, to my community. So we educate, collaborate, and advocate. And that's what it's all about, sharing best practices, moving forward, and learning from each other. Together, we can all prosper mindset.
Well, you know, you have an interesting subset of children, like children just in general can, and it depends on what grade. Tell me again what grade you start.
Well, now I'm doing K to 12 and beyond. In fact, I'm going to be working with the largest pre-K program in all of New York City, but I have workforce development. I have kids up to 22 and 23. I have veterans. I mean, the beautiful thing about food is it's non-negotiable. Everybody has to eat. And hopefully they'll have 3 healthy meals a day for the rest of their lives. And the fact that we can now grow them in New York City year-round, linked to academic performance, and also all kinds of social emotional well-being has become spectacular. So on the evolutionary chart of man, I too am moving from the left side closer to the right.
Well, that, you know, when you keep saying academic success, I know that, you know, the goal of our conversation today is to give parents and school administrators and teachers some first action steps. But even before we go with those steps, I think people need compelling reasons why they should do something. And so can you share with us academically, health-wise, what's happened to your student population as a result of them gardening in the classroom?
Well, for sure. We've moved targeted populations of kids from 40% attendance to 93% attendance. So when kids show up, they grow up. If I have the body, I get the brain. No body, no brain. But if I get body, I get brain. So from 40% to 93% attendance. 100% of my kids are either working at living wage jobs or in post-secondary training, which is remarkable. Most importantly, the first cohort of kids that I got out of jail to this day have stayed out of jail. And what do we know about, you know, adolescents who go in and out of the juvenile justice system? They tend to go back in. So the fact that they're out and doing great things is remarkable. 30,000 pounds of vegetables later, here we are. I've lost weight. The kids have lost weight. We're eating healthy. We're advocating. We are taking over abandoned spaces and building community gardens and taking forlorn and formerly unproductive places and turning them into highly productive spaces, aspirational things. So while I'm very much about ABCDs and the learning, I'm also about the new ABCDs, asset-based community development. And teaching kids to count is cool, but teaching them what counts is so much more important. And together, we're doing that, aligned to healthy food, healthy eating, and academic performance, which is really cool.
Well, here's the other thing that I find as my ear is to the ground and I'm faced with what I hear in the news and what I experience in my own schools is when children aren't familiar with healthy foods, which a lot of children don't have access to healthy foods, nor are they familiar with it, they are averse to trying it. And so have you seen a direct correlation between their hands in the dirt and their hands on the plants and their willingness to accept these new food items?
Absolutely. So if kids grow kale, they eat kale. If they grow tomatoes, they eat tomatoes. Now, it's really interesting because the little kids, like I started this program with overage, undercredited kids, older kids. So there was a different kind of incentive. But the little kids, boy, they love it. Eating across the rainbow does not mean Skittles. It means tomatoes, broccoli, mushrooms, carrots, radishes, lettuce, turnip, the beat, as I like to say in my class, and they do. So we eat across the rainbow.
Love
And little kids really love it. And again, for me, while I'm expanding palates, I'm expanding vocabularies. Give me 10 words to describe what you just ate. You know, what does it look like? The kids really love growing food. It's their big OMG moment, as they like to say. And when you can do it in a classroom, aligned to academic outcomes, it's beautiful. I have kids reading to plants, and they think they're making their plants grow faster, and in fact, they are.
They are.
Right. They're nurturing themselves.
Reading to my okra plants, yes. I mean, you know, that oxygen exchange. I mean, I used to stand out there and talk to my okra plants, and they were 6 feet tall, and I just, you know, it was magic. And I see what you're saying. The magic that we bring in around food actually just sucks the children in, and there's a grip on the children that they can't get away from. It's an undeniable grip and a connection with what we grow and what we eat. So, you know, that begs the question. Right now, I understand you have tower gardens in your classrooms. Tell us, okay, I'm a school now. I'm an elementary school. I want to start a garden. What would you suggest?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, like I say, I'm on the evolutionary chart of man. I started in a very ambitious way. And, of course, I came from a place of no knowledge but a whole lot of excitement. Now I have more knowledge, and I can't expect every teacher to be involved with soil and growing media and huge projects in a classroom. I'm willing to do it, but as I wanted my reach to exceed my grasp, I became really focused on something that was affordable, replicable, and that people could do with great ease, aligned to Common Core. Because it's easy to do what we want to do, but we got to realize in school that we have to do what we're paid to do. And, you know, education has to come first. So I wanted this, I was looking for technology that was really easy to use, portable, lightweight, that any teacher could succeed with. And I happened to come across tower gardens, and I'm a big fan of the tower garden. You can go from a box to a garden in 45 minutes if you're a man, or 20 minutes if you're a woman, because you'll read the instructions and follow the directions. But no matter what, 45 minutes is one classroom period. The thing can go back in a box, which is beautiful. You can put it on wheels. It's lightweight. It's safe. There's no soil. There's no messy media. Every input can really be measured and calculated, which, of course, to me turns into documentation and learning activities for the kids. So when I found tower gardens, it was a game changer for me. It was a game changer.
And so if people want to know about tower gardens, they can go to your website, which is Green Bronx Machine, and you've got tons of information on there about the tower gardens, how to buy them. And, of course, that begs the question. I always want to know, what does something cost? Because that's one of the major drawbacks for any program is the funding. And, of course, that's in part why we have this Healthy Schools Revolution going on this week, is to help generate funds for schools to do these projects. So what does a tower garden cost?
Well, the base unit is $525, but, and I like to say, after you pay that, you have free refills for life, so to speak. But basically, I go with a more tricked out system. I have a lot of windowless classrooms, so I always go with lighting systems. I believe in empowering kids to succeed. So for about $1,200, you can get the lights, you know, a year's worth of nutrients, wheels, everything, a tomato cage, the whole bit that really ensures success. Now, someone may say $1,200 is a lot of money, but a teacher textbook alone can be $400 or $500. A piece of software can be, you know, thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars for a program. And the beautiful thing about Tower Gardens is that every kid gets to participate. It is what I call a seed to table program, so you can go from seed to table to tower to table all in a classroom. You can push it into the cafeteria, you can put it in the courtyard, but the academic alignments to this thing, from water and electricity to growing to seeding to propagating, it's just phenomenal. And the kids really love it. I actually have kids reading to plants in the tower garden. The sound of the water actually calms the kids down. I have kids who love to sit by their towers and love to get their moon tan on. And in many classrooms where I have no windows, sadly, this tower garden has become a thing of bright light. And we actually sit around it and read around it and talk to it and play with it and observe and document. And I have plant police. I have leaf monitors. No involuntary plant slaughter happens in my school. And the little kids really love it. And, of course, when they read to their plants, I'm just thrilled. Plants are very non-judgmental.
They are. They're very good listeners too. They
They're
don't
very good.
interrupt and all that stuff. But so I'm really brainstorming here with you, and I'm just putting myself in the position of we don't have tower gardens in our school right now, and so I'm trying to think through the process with you. It sounded like you said it can go on wheels, so it can be transported from classroom to classroom. But my biggest question is, does Tower Gardens provide any kind of curriculum for the teacher to help them link this product to their core curriculum?
We are working on that as we speak.
Okay.
I always look at things like measurement, water, surface area, the water cycle, nutrients, measuring, calculating, predicting, uh, tasting, visual language. I mean, for some kids, I have kids who love to propagate seeds in the little rock wool and do it again and measure it and observe it. So there's all kinds of things. But my goal is to see Tower Gardens aligned to Common Core and project-based learning, because where kids learn matters, and every kid deserves a safe, healthy, nurturing environment. And in a 2-foot by 2-foot footprint with 90% less water and 90% less space, 30 to 32 kids can grow food in class and eat and celebrate all year round, not just during the summer, but in those cold winter months when people are shivering. It's great to sit by the warm Tower Garden campfire and grow vegetables that you can eat, and share in class. And that to me is really exciting.
That's true. And so $1,200 is sort of our benchmark here that we're talking about for lights inside a classroom, right? And that's a mobile cart.
Right.
Does that include the seeds, or is that without?
That's everything. The growing medium, the nutrients, the rock wool, everything that you need to succeed. Not once, not twice, but all year long.
Right.
And I think, so I never like to talk about a base price, because I think, base price, well, then you get started, then you need to do this, you need to do that. No, you get into this, $1,000 seems like a whole, or $1,200 seems like a lot of money, but in the cost of supplies and science kits, it's a very fair price. But you have 32 kids who can participate all year round, again and again and again, and go from classroom to classroom to classroom. You can tie it to art, to literacy, to math, to science, to social studies. And most importantly, you can eat it. And that's really cool, because teaching kids where their food comes from is critical. And then there's really, the whole people side of this. Because when kids learn about nature, they learn to nurture. And when kids learn to nurture, we as a society embrace our better nature. My kids become kinder, gentler human beings. And that, to me, is important. They become involved. When they learn that they're not bottom-end consumers of a product that comes in a plastic bag with infinite shelf life, they themselves are moving up the food chain of life. And they become producers. They become engaged. They become involved. They become advocates. We talk about, would you put these chemicals in with your food? Would you want to eat this? Do you want your food coming from here? Most kids don't even know where their food comes from. So when they realize that they can grow their own food, that's phenomenal. Now, of course, for me in the Bronx, I have a lot of immigrant kids who are coming here to America because their families were hungry. So when they get the opportunity to grow food in schools and grow culturally relevant school food, that's a game changer, because it's not available where we live. So to think that we can grow it in school with kids aligned to academic outcomes, brilliant, spectacular. Everybody's involved, and it's become a big celebratory moment. I like to say we are growing something greater in the South Bronx, classroom by classroom, plant by plant.
Well, you really are growing something greater. As it's just the myriad of benefits that come from this project. There's just too many to list and enumerate and go through all of the benefits. And so now that leads me to think about, well, what roadblocks did you encounter when you started out on this project? Did you have any roadblocks? From administration, from kickback from the kids? I mean, what were the challenges?
Loved it. I will tell you, from the get-go, in the least likely place to succeed or to do this, the kids liked it. Older kids, I think some of them were interested in growing other things, I'm not going to lie, but I think that's a point of entry to really move kids into spheres of compliance and competence that they need to have in life if they're going to be successful. So I don't see obstacles, I see opportunities. I grew up with the mindset that asking for permission is begging for denial. Now that I've moved up and grown up a little, I believe in working collaboratively with people. but keep it small, keep it scalable. I've evolved to a very big place, but I've started because I just had this real desire to change kids' lives. And I think my enthusiasm transferred over to them, their enthusiasm transferred over to me. The kids are my seeds. So I'm planting them and they're planting me. Sometimes we're feet in the ground, sometimes I want to put them head in the ground, but you know, we move on and we are working and growing, and the results speak for themselves. I mean, this program really took root. But finding things, bringing it back to your question, finding things that make it easier, safer, more replicable, more scalable, that's the critical piece. And that's when I started switching from soil-based and growing medium to, I actually went to hydroponics. The problem with hydroponics for me is that you can't move it around so much. The water has to run 24 hours. So aeroponics became a real solution. And I like to say that my kids are 21st century solutionaries. So looking at ways that we can get off the grid and use less electricity and less resources, but have something that is like a fun thing to assemble. And tower gardens are fun to assemble. It's like a Lego set. So the kids like it. It's safe. It's lightweight. There are no rough edges. It's proven science. Tim Blank and the people down at Epcot really got it right. And this is patented technology with years and years and years of proven results. So if it could work on a commercial venture, it should certainly work in engaging little kids and making it easy and scalable for teachers. Again, 45 minutes and you're done. I'm not going to say there's no labor, but it's a lot better than being outside. It's a lot better than having a soil-based garden that sits outside in a courtyard. You can control all the inputs, and for me, if kids are controlling inputs, they're measuring inputs. If they're measuring inputs, they're documenting things. If they're documenting, they're learning. We're talking, we're discussing. And any of the failures that you have inside a classroom can really be the springboards to future success. So I love that. Teaching kids to solve problems and work together for a greater common good should be part of our daily agenda as society, in addition to growing healthy food and eating it, which is totally cool.
Oh, yeah, I love your enthusiasm, and I'm hoping that people are starting to get a sense of what this tower garden can do, how they can get it. Again, if you're just popping into the conversation, you can go to greenbronxmachine.com and...
No, .org.
Oh, sorry, .org.
No, that was part of our learning curve, too, because the kids built out both websites. So I will share that with you. That's a funny story. Who knew? Who knew I'd be here talking to you? Who knew that we'd grow 30,000 pounds of vegetables? Who knew that we could get kids jobs in this new green economy? But that's the reality of walking into a situation with your eyes and hands and heart open. Because you can't do anything with a closed fist. So if you have your eyes open, your heart open, and your hands open, you're going to learn. So initially, when we started, the kids put a .com because we didn't know. But we are a 501c3. We are a .org, so it's www.greenbronxmachine.org. The .com still exists, but now there's a lot more information on our .org site. The kids have a brilliant Facebook page. People think it's me, but it's not. It's the kids who run our Green Bronx Machine Facebook page, and we have 13,000 kids on Facebook talking about healthy living. And my kids actually compete for the privilege of running the post and running the page, which is kind of cool. So check out Green Bronx Machine Facebook. Send them this. My mom follows us on Facebook. She writes to me, to the kids, and says, "Tell Mr. Ritz to call his mother." It's very funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's great that we can connect kids around growing food and growing healthy outcomes. I like to say I'd like to see more kids spread seeds and and spread information instead of spreading all kinds of insanity. So it's cool.
Yeah, well, we have another guest that's going to be joining us in this series is Edna Chirico from the Green Teacher Network, and they're working on a really strong curriculum to connect gardening, per se, to core standards. And then there's somebody at, I think, University of Pennsylvania. I mean, there's stuff going on all over the place. USC, Berkeley, all these different places have gardening programs. But if you found a good resource for you to use, as far as, again, tying the growing of the plants to different grade levels?
Well, it all depends. You have to begin to kind of like design your outcomes in advance. So are there online? I think, first of all, every teacher needs to do their due diligence. I always come with a lesson plan. My lesson plan is aligned to Common Core and a very specific learner objective. But I use the Tower Garden, as a tool to accomplish that objective, but also as a motivational tool to get kids into class. I'm a big advocate of project-based learning and place-based learning. And when the project and the place is your classroom and the magic is happening there, kids want to be a part of it. And then, of course, they get so excited that they want to push this out into the whole world. And that, to me, is really what it's about. It's about engagement, building concentric circles of success. So I always say, know your learner outcomes, know what you are charged to do. Autonomy does not mean doing what the hell you want. It means doing what we're paid to do efficaciously. So do your, within the context of your day job, make your teachers and your colleagues and your principals happy. But grow something greater and use this as a tool. It's not the end-all and the be-all, but it is a wonderful supplement. Now, on a commercial side, it's, I think, the coolest thing in the world. I'm really excited about doing commercial farming with older kids in terms of career technical education, but that's probably a whole separate conversation. But tower gardens and future growing and that kind of aeroponic technology using 90% less water, 90% less space in the heart of cities where we need a lot of food and traditionally it's not available is a game changer, both in terms of employment and access. So I'm very excited about that as well.
Well, see, this is a learning moment for me as well, because when you're talking about aeroponics, meaning the plants are mostly growing based on air versus using their water, right? And so that leads us to the challenge of, like, I'm in the South, so I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so we have hot weather, obviously, a lot, and watering an external outside garden could be a chore and a labor that now I understand you saying these indoor tower gardens eliminate that one obstacle in producing, fresh fruits and vegetables for the kids. So I'm just sort of thinking through all of this with the information that you're sharing.
It also teaches conservation. I mean, what's really critical to me on a whole different level is teaching kids to conserve. We are... The beauty of tower gardens is you get an abundance of learning, but it's rooted in conservation. So the fact that, people can be out there spraying water, gardening, you're watering weeds, you're not watering what needs to be watered. Here, when you look at water as a resource and teach kids to conserve water, that water is one of the most precious resources we have on this planet, we're really changing mindsets and helping to preserve landscapes, and that's critical to me. So as a responsible 21st century citizen, technologies that teach children, nurture themselves, and save the planet is critical. So yes, spraying water is fun, and 20 years ago I probably would have loved to be outside spraying water all day long. But now teaching kids that every drop matters, and that every moment matters is critical. So yeah, aeroponics is great because the water's not running, the electricity's not running, we're using timers. I have 21st century solutionaries kids who are coming up with solar capping solutions, so we are net positive on food, electricity, and learning, which is remarkable. What could be better than that? These are the kinds of things that are going to move us as a society and as a global society forward in ways that can change the world, because where our food comes from matters. And so much of our food is bathed in oil and has so many frequent flyer miles on it that it's not healthy long-term for anybody. So we are getting peak freshness, peak learning, and peak optimization of our resources, and that's critical.
And so where do you take it now, Stephen? I mean, I know you started all these gardens. Now you've grown 30,000 pounds of vegetables. You and I had just a conversation before we started the interview here, and you talked about sort of circumventing some food policies, as far as eating the produce that's grown in the classroom. Were there challenges around food policy and the kids eating what they were growing?
Well, there have always been there has always been policy challenges and real issues. Realize outside, out of doors, there are so many variables, particularly in New York City, and anywhere, whether it's toxicity that pre-existed, lead in the soil, where are you growing, what's in the soil, to ongoing problems of vandalization, environmental issues close to the highway, runoff, stormwater runoff, all these, and then people just doing, sadly, very malicious things sometimes. You have to worry. Sadly, it's an age where you have to worry about everything. So when I can control every single variable by putting it in the classroom, I have, complete ownership of this thing. But there are a lot of great programs. And thank God for the Let's Move initiative. And here in New York City, I'm a big advocate of the School Garden to School Cafe program. So thank you, DOE. It's a brilliant idea. The Grow to Learn and Grow NYC, really initiatives that are putting the whole concept of healthy food in schools and knowing where our food comes. So building on what exists is a lot better than banging your head at the wall. And, I'm a lot less angry as I've gotten older. I think I've become a kinder, gentler man in my advanced years, but learning to use what exists and give credit to those who have paved the way before us and building on those successes and building on those pathways. So rather than scream and fight, 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 no, I want to see programs that exist and say, hey, listen, I've got this little thing here. This little thing can really be a great addition to what you're looking to do. And it's cost effective and it's safe, and people like it. I think people want to see kids succeed. This is our moment. There has never been a greater collective consciousness around talking about getting kids off the junk and getting junk food out of schools and getting kids healthy, nutritious food. The locavore movement is really local, farm to table. Gourmet food. There are so many great opportunities, and there are so many great grants and so many organizations supporting the work that instead of making noise, let's learn to work together. Separate the noise from the signal, and let's grow something greater. And we can, and we are, and we will, and we shall, and we'll continue to do it.
Oh, I could.
But, to your point, I'm very excited. Thank you. I forgot. Let me answer your question. I'm proud to be building out the first health, wellness, and biodiversity center in New York City in the Bronx. So we are building the Health, Wellness, and Biodiversity Center at PS 55 in the Benjamin Franklin School in the heart of the South Bronx with Principal Luis Torres, who is the Supervisor of the Year and the NAACP Educator of the Year. And to think that we are going to take a 100-year-old building, a building that is over 100 years old, in the heart of the South Bronx, smack in the middle of New York City Housing Authority, and turn that into a food and health oasis is going to really become a replicable model for all. So I'm so excited. I can't wait for school to start.
And when is that actually going to kick off?
We're moving in on Tuesday, so we got the space. We've got approval. I was doing paperwork. I was on the phone actually this morning with the principal and down at the Department of Education yesterday, and I am just really excited to create the first health, wellness, and biodiversity center in the heart of New York City. And we're going to be doing it in an elementary school. So it is easier to raise healthy children than fix broken men. And in a school that has the largest pre-K population in all of District 9, I'm going to be in there growing little mushrooms, little broccolis, little carrots with cute little kids. And they're going to know where their food comes from all year round and grow something greater with me on the 4th floor in PS 55. And we want everyone to get involved and get online and support us. We'll be sending email out and letting people know how they can get involved, letting people support this great initiative, but really look at it as a replicable model for all of America. Because if we can do it in the South Bronx, we can do it in South Chicago, we can do it in South Philly, we can do it in South Memphis, we can do it in South Miami. And then I also want to inspire Native Americans to grow. Food everywhere, whether you're in the country or the city, using less water and less space and less labor to grow more food is absolutely a good thing.
Yes, I think that one thing that we forgot to mention, and we said that they could use these tower gardens over and over again, is that it's not only you make the investment now, and that tower garden serves the classroom not only that whole year, but year after year after year, right? So
right.
It's an investment that continues to give back over and over again.
Girls for life. It literally gives you free bags of vegetables for the rest of your life. What could be better?
Yeah, so I think that's fabulous.
Kids love me. To see kids aggregate around this thing, it's and check out our Office Depot videos, change lives. You're going to see kids who literally, those kids farmed their way to the White House. Those kids got themselves an invite to the White House, literally by growing food and growing healthy outcomes. So it's spectacular. But to see how they love it and they get excited about it, to me there's something really special about seeing kids read to plants. And the beauty of a tower garden is if they do a good job, when the kids go to lunch, I come and I swap out the plants and give them bigger plants so they really feel successful. And with older kids, I jokingly say I like seeing kids pollinating plants instead of each other, because there's a lesson to be learned there. And when the kids are really misbehaving, when I tell the older ones to be quiet, the plants are having sex, wham, you can hear a pin drop. Remarkable. So there are a lot of benefits to plants in the classroom, besides the fact that they clean the air, look great, smell great, and just teach kids that we are part of a larger thing called life, called Earth. And we need to love it and treasure it and nurture it and savor it.
Well, I think the important takeaways for us are, number one, that you don't have to be a gardener. So for all the teachers that want to start this in their classrooms, you don't have to be a gardener. You can learn this along with your children. And So I think that's important. And then in closing, since we want to kind of wrap up, and I know your time is very valuable, and want to thank you for sharing your energy, your passion, your ideas, your successes with the Healthy Schools Revolution. All the other schools and parents that are listening across the country are going to be able to take what you've given today. They can go to your website again, greenbronxmachine.org.
Correct.
Here, see the videos that you guys have. Go to the Facebook page for Green Bronx Machine. These are ways that you're able to help others that are watching today. My question for you is, how can we and everybody else watching help you with your efforts? Would it just be to go to greenbronxmachine.org and donate?
Okay, well, yeah, we're going to start some online fundraising. My goal, the kids have T-shirts that they've designed. I'm wearing one today. The kids actually designed the logo, and they actually picked the materials and make sure no child labor is involved. But really, it's sharing. It is this dialogue that's critical. Together we can grow something greater. And if there's one takeaway to all of you who are watching, we are Americans, Mexicans, Dominicans, African Americans. Mama didn't raise cans. So get out there, and we need to go from a nation of red states and blue states to a united nation of green states, united to, reduce our footprint and be healthier. And as the health of the South Bronx goes, so goes the health of New York City, New York State, and the nation. So I like to say the Bronx can change attitudes now, and together and collectively we can change America now. And that's what this is all about. So educate, collaborate, and advocate. Stay in touch. Reach out to us. I mean, the kids love hearing from people on Facebook. They're on it every day. I think it's great the kids are aggregating around these healthy issues. And come visit us, come to the South Bronx. It's a beautiful place to be. We want to change people's perceptions about the way we live and where we live. And that's critical. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your support. But yes, I am not a farmer. I started my TED Talk with it. If you haven't seen my TED Talk, you'll get a kick out of it. I'm 120 pounds lighter now. But I'm not a farmer. I'm a people farmer, and we're growing something greater. We're not growing food. We're growing people. We're growing production. We're growing process, and we're growing outcomes. But along the way, we're growing a whole lot of food, and that's a good thing for kids to have.
Well, Stephen, we're gonna have a lot of resources for everybody. So if you're listening to this video, there should be attachments that came in the email to you. We'll have links back to Steve's website, links to the Facebook page. We will have the links to his TED Talk, so you can see how it all got started. Just a plethora of resources for y'all to get started. If you have any questions, certainly reach out to his group, reach out to the Healthy Kids Revolution. We'll connect you in any way that we can with somebody that has resources for whatever program you want to start. So again, it's all of us sharing our best practices, and we here as a group of game changers are here to share what we know and help everybody get that ball rolling and take some first steps. So, Stephen, thanks for your time today. Is any closing remarks from you?
No, come visit us in the South Bronx, y'all. It's a great place to visit, and come on down. I mean, literally, we had a school from California. I want to shout out one school who their senior class, instead of going to Disneyland, came to New York City to farm with us indoors for a week and cook, and we had a great time. And to me, that's what this is all about, bringing kids and teachers together for healthy outcomes. So grow something greater, America. This is our moment. Seize it, embrace it, love it, and reach out to us. Our website is up and our waistlines are down. Reach out to us and we'll come to your town. Si se puede. I got passion for my plants and I'm not afraid to show it. I'm Steve Ritz from Green Bronx Machine. We are farming and you know it.
You're brilliant. And hey, everybody, have a great afternoon. Check us out. Keep watching the Healthy Schools Revolution, and we'll see you on the next interview.
And thanks for all you do, Carmen. God bless you, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Have a great day.
You